Welcome back to an honest movie recap and review. Today we look at a sci-fi action thriller all the way back from 1997. I give you Starship Troopers. The movie starts as a newsreel shows the bug war in full swing as the mobile infantry are currently on the retreat from their arachnid foes. It's here the news reporter is killed live on air before a soldier takes a debilitating blow to the thigh before looking like being eaten. We then join our protagonist, Johnny Rico, a chisel-jawed high schooler played by at the time 29-year-old Casper Van Dien, as he's flirting with his high school sweetheart, Carmen Ibanez, played by the stunning Denise Richards, as both his best friend, Carl Jenkins, Neil Patrick Harris, and Dizzy Flores, Dina Meyer, watch on. Did I mention Rico's one-armed former soldier, now teacher, portrayed by the legendary Michael Ironside, interrupts Rico's attempts at flirting? Well, he does. After class finishes, Rico goes to find out his maths results, failing massively with a score of 35%. At the same time, Ibanez scores an impressive 97. To make matters worse, best friend Carl Jenkins announces to the full school Rico's poor score, embarrassing him massively. It's here Carl points out to Rico that it's not just Carmen who wants him, but also Dizzy, though at this point Rico only has eyes for his high school sweetheart. Back in class, Carmen shows how weak of a stomach she has as they dissect bugs, while Dizzy finds it hilarious. After school, we join Johnny, trying to see if he is psychic like his best friend Carl. It's apparent he doesn't have the ability, but it highlights how strong Carl's psychic abilities truly are. The day before graduation arrives, we have Rico playing the future version of football, where Rico and Dizzy combine to win the title from their fiercest rivals. It's here we are introduced to Xander Barkalow, another love interest for Carmen, and a rival for Rico. Before the ball, Rico is confronted by his family as he's intending to enlist. His family are not pleased with his recent decision and threaten that he would be disowned if he follows through with doing this. The ball takes place that night, in which Rico has a heart-to-heart with both Dizzy and Gene Razak, played by Michael Ironside. The following morning, Rico, Carmen and Carl decide to enlist. Carmen gets the role she wants to join Fleet and become a pilot. Carl gets enrolled as a military intelligence. Unfortunately for Rico, he doesn't qualify for anything other than being a grunt in the mobile infantry. Going their separate ways, Rico is disowned by his family. Carmen being forced to tell Johnny she loves him for the very first time, and deep down knowing she probably doesn't. We then join Rico back at basic training. It becomes apparent how tough you have to be in the mobile infantry. This is shown as Major Zim, the training instructor, breaks a recruit's arm just as Dizzy Flores turns up, before she, herself, is knocked unconscious by Zim as Rico looks on, smiling. It's here we are introduced to Rico's new right-hand man, and new best friend, Ace, a fast-talking fool who wants to make a career in the mobile infantry. At the same time, Rico rebuffs Dizzy's continued advances. We see a glimpse of Carmen flight training, and it shows just how reckless and gung-ho of a pilot she is, but highly talented. As she joins her first crew, she finds her co-pilot to be no other than Xander Barkalow. Rico, through a bit of luck and support from Dizzy's training progressors, finds himself as the new squad leader. Unfortunately, through some poor judgment, one of Rico's troopers is killed in an accident. Carrying the weight of the blame, Rico is demoted and sentenced to 10 administrative lashes. After receiving his punishment, Rico decides to quit the mobile infantry, but before he leaves, a meteorite strikes the Earth, which had been dispatched by the bugs, hitting his hometown and killing all his family. Rico has his papers torn up as the Federation prepares for war and stays within the mobile infantry. And oh yes, Carmen dumps Rico after starting a relationship with Barkalow. Before their first drop, Rico meets Carmen on her ship. It's here it becomes apparent what happened between her and Xander. A fight soon breaks out, but is swiftly brought to a conclusion. Rico and his friends are going down in the first wave on Klendathu, the bugs' home planet. After killing a few plasma bugs, the arachnids swarm the mobile infantry, literally ripping them to shreds, all while Fleet is being destroyed by plasma light. Back on the ground, most of Rico's squad has been wiped out as Rico covers their retreat. It's here Rico, after taking down several bugs, is struck in the thigh, the same person who was struck in the start of the movie. It's here we see the death of Johnny Rico, the screen goes black as he's about to be killed. Back in space, Carmen searches the list of the dead to find Rico never made it. She's here comforted again by Barcalow. But wait, can it be? Rico is alive! He was rescued, and while his wounds are being healed in a healing tank, he is visited by Ace, Dizzy and others. It's decided the first attack was a disaster, and a new strategy is to take place. From here, Rico and the others join a new squad. Their lieutenant turns out to be no other than Rico and Dizzy's former science teacher, Gene Razak, who has rejoined the Mobile Infantry. During their next drop, the Mobile Infantry bomb most of the Arachnid before mopping up the remaining bugs. It's here Rico starts to show how he has started to mature into not only a true soldier, but also a leader. He does this by besting a fire-breathing behemoth in single combat and taking the position of corporal as the former had lost her arm during the attack. As night sets in, Rico, under the guidance of Razak, realises that life is short and spends the night with Dizzy. But before passion could commence, a distress call comes from Whiskey Outpost comes over the antenna, and the squad has to move out. But not before they have a chance to consummate their new relationship. As the squad heads to Whiskey Outpost, the trooper on the radio is taken by a new flying arachnid. Lieutenant Razak kills him, putting him out of his misery, before telling the squad that he would expect them all to do the same for him, all before making Rico active sergeant and to take point. The unit reaches an overrun Whiskey Outpost. As they are securing it, they find a general hiding inside the compound, the only survivor. They send a message to Fleet for pickup as they find out how the bugs gained entry into the outpost through the floor. It's also revealed the bugs have been sucking out the brains of the infantry, and that who's actually sent the distress signal, drawing them to the outpost, trapping the squad. Back outside, the Arachnid attack. Thousands upon thousands swarm the base. It's here our valiant roughnecks make a last stand. Wave after wave go down, but it looks hopeless for our heroes. The general is killed, to the amusement of all, and as it looks hopeless, a dropship arrives for retrieval. It's here we lose Lieutenant Razak. A sad loss, but to make it worse, as they look to retreat, Dizzy struck from behind, pierced multiple times. The drop pod, piloted by Carmen and Xander, gets away just in time, getting them all to safety, but only as Dizzy dies in Rico's arms. It's here Carmen finds out that Rico is still alive. Back on the ship, the Roger Young, Dizzy has a funeral. After the funeral, now military intelligence commander Carl Jenkins arrives, promotes Rico to lieutenant before ordering them back to Planet P to capture a brain bug. Now back on Planet P, Rico and Ace realise how young the new line of troopers are, but in a twisted turn of events, Carmen's ship goes down. Both her and Xander make it to an escape pod before crashing on the planet. Here they fight off a few bugs before appearing to be killed. As Rico is searching for the brain bug, he gets a feeling Carmen is still alive and how to get to her. He leaves his squad, just him, Ace and Sugar Watkins, to go find Carmen. When he finds her, it's too late for Xander, who has just had his brain sucked out by the brain bug, the same one they had been sent to capture. They rescue Carmen Ibáñez, but Watkins is mortally wounded and makes a last stand, allowing the others to escape. Back outside, news comes out that the brain bug has been captured. It's here we find out that the bug was cornered and captured by now Private Zim, who has busted his ass back to Private so he could fight in the bug war. A new hero of the Federation. Carl Jenkins arrives to read the mind of the bug. He announces the bug is afraid as the troopers celebrate. Rico, Carmen and Carl walk off arm in arm as Rico asks Carl if he was the one who told him how to find Carmen. The movie ends with hope that mankind can come together to destroy the bugs once and for all. Starship Troopers is visually stunning. A classic 90s action movie with action, gore and a little bit of comedy thrown into the mix. The acting is phenomenal, the concept, though basic, is enjoyable and is a great popcorn movie to sit back and enjoy. If you enjoyed our recap and reviews, don't forget to hit both that like and subscribe button as it really helps us grow. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. And don't forget, The only good bug is a dead bug.